Hello and welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator. I will be your pilot today, Alexander Gwynn. We are flying in a Cessna 172, tail number November 600 Alpha Golf. This first section of the video will be covering the entire pre-flight checklist up through starting the engine. If you don't care about the procedures necessary before flying, you can skip this section of the video and move on to the next one. Let's go ahead and open my pre-flight checklist here. In real life, the checklist is one of the most vital parts about flight safety. The checklist covers everything from pre-flight all the way to securing the aircraft. Everything that you do before taking off is particularly important because it ensures that all of your aircraft systems are working correctly, minimizing the chances of a failure in flight and an accident. This is a simulator, so this is not necessarily, well, necessary, but I'm going to go through everything to show you what goes into flying an aircraft. First thing we're going to see, we're going to make sure all of my aircraft documents are here. This is a simulator, so I don't have any documents. Make sure the parking brake is set. Ignition is in the off position. Avionics switches are off. Let's go ahead and turn the battery on. I put 15 gallons of fuel in each wing before starting the video. Excuse me. We have 15 gallons in each wing. The low fuel light is off. All right, let's turn on my avionics here for a minute. Your avionics are your aircraft electronic and navigation systems. It's already self-explanatory. Make sure we can hear that cooling fan there. Ah, there are the chimes telling me everything's coming online. Let's go ahead and turn these off. Static pressure air source is off. Scroll this down. Let's check my annunciator panel. Everything works. Fuel selector is set to both. Sorry. There we go. Fuel shutoff valve is open. Go ahead and drop the flaps and make sure they work. It'd be really nice in the simulator if you could actually get out of the aircraft and walk around, but we can't. Alright, let's turn the pitot heat on. Honestly, in the simulator, there's no way to actually check if the pitot heat is working, but here we can assume. Alright, and let's turn it back off again. Just as a point of knowledge, the pitot tube controls several of your instruments by measuring the ram airspeed flying towards the aircraft or aircraft flying towards the wind. The pitot heat is useful at higher altitudes in order to prevent icing, allowing your instruments to continue working. Turn the battery switch off. Make sure my elevator trim is set to neutral. Whoop. Where's my wheel? There we go. Alright, and that concludes the pre-flight inspection. Now let's check everything we need before starting the engine. Pre-flight inspection is complete. Seat belts. Electrical equipment is all off. Avionics are off. Fuel selector is on both. And the shutoff valve is open. If you ask why are we redoing some of the checklist items over and over, these are very important checklist items and you want to double and triple check that they are where they are supposed to be. That concludes the checklist before starting the engine. All right, let's start her up. Let's open the throttle just a little bit. Not much, about a quarter of an inch. Make sure my mixture is set to idle cutoff. Open, cutoff. No one is standing in my propeller. All right, let's turn on the battery again. Let's turn on my beacon real quick, letting everybody know that I'm getting ready to start up. Open the mixture all the way to rich. Let's click the auxiliary fuel pump for a second. Let's lean out the mixture a little bit so it doesn't flood the engine. Feet are ready to brake. All right, let's check the ignition. Let's fully rich the mixture. And that's the engine started. After starting the engine, you're going to check a few systems to make sure everything is ready. So open up the throttle to 1,000 RPMs. A little more. In a real aircraft, you can actually twist the throttle and the mixture to increase or decrease it incrementally. My controller doesn't have that feature. Throttle's at 1,000 RPM. Oil pressure should be just below the green zone. Ow. It is. Alright, let's turn the alternator on. This particular aircraft doesn't actually have an alternator indicator. Battery appears to be charging. Let's turn on the avionics. Sorry about the video getting a little choppy there for a second. Not really sure what that was about. Let's give the radios a minute to finish coming online. This part takes just a moment. This aircraft has more than just the basic radio cluster that the aircraft I originally learned to fly in had. The Garmin stuff takes a minute. Don't ask, I'm just playing with the rudders. Alright, let's clear out the menus here. We're gonna go ahead, bring up the weather.
Romeo Charlie Echo, automated weather observation 1800 Zulu. Wind calm. Visibility 9er.
Set the radio
Sky
to standby.
clear.
Transponder to standby.
Temperature 15C. Dew point 13C. Altimeter 29902.
Alright, altimeter is 29902.
Kilo Romeo Charlie Echo, automated weather observation.
Flaps are up. Heading is 085. Heading indicator 085. As our airport traffic automated weather system, altimeter is set to 29902. The altimeter functions by measuring the air pressure around the aircraft relative to sea level, determining your aircraft's altitude above sea level. That's why even though I'm on the ground, that's why even though I'm on the ground, it's showing me at about 1,350 feet, because CE Page Airport is about 1,350 feet above sea level. Altimeter is set. Attitude indicator set. And before taxiing, let's make sure everything is set. I'm not going to need the taxi light here. I'm not going to need the landing light. Do need the strobe and the navigation lights though. Let's take these off the checklist. Alright, let's release that parking brake. Let's throttle up a little bit and make sure these brakes work. Brakes work. It's getting choppy again. Brakes work. Rudder works. Turn coordinator is working. Heading indicator is working. Compass is working. Alright, we're going to set the parking brake again. Make sure my seats are in their upright position. They are. Seat belts. Make sure my flight controls move freely. Flight instruments are all set. Fuel quantity indicators still showing 15 gallons. Make sure it's set to rich. Fuel selector is set to both. Let's turn on the autopilot for a second. Autopilot off. Set the throttle to 1800 RPM. Come on. Alright. Let's check each magneto. Should only drop by about 150 RPM, give or take. 1700. Both magnetos are working the same. Set it back to both. Come on. Checklist is not cooperating with me. Vacuum gauge in green. Oil pressure in the green, as well as temperature. Battery is charging. Annunciator panel is clear. Clear? Clear. Alright, let's idle out the engine. And back up to 1,000. All right, and that is everything that you do before taxiing to the runway and taking off. That concludes the setup portion of the video. The next video will be the actual flight itself. Thank you.